More, I want to bring in Sean Spicer, Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Sean, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Kate.
Were you able to hear Governor Howard Dean a few moments ago?
Part of it.
Okay,
not the
so
full,
we
exchange.
started that interview. I was asking him about a tweet that he wrote last night. This is toward the of the debate last night. People were noticing that Donald Trump was sniffling a bit, was sucking in air through his nose. And Governor Howard Dean, as you probably know, tweeted out about cocaine use. He tweeted, "Notice Trump sniffing all the time. Coke user? Question mark." And I asked him why he would do that. And his response was that he stands by the tweet. He's not going to revoke it. He's not apologizing. And he believes the question needs to be asked whether Donald Trump is a user of cocaine. Your response?
I have to wonder where Dr. Dean went to medical school to ask a question like that. I mean, that is, for a person that is a actual medical doctor to ask a question like that, sort of blows my mind that you would suggest not only drug use for no apparent reason. I think it's outrageous, and I give you credit for asking the question. I think it's unbelievable that, with the exception of a few other members of the media, that has largely gone unnoticed, because for someone who has been a governor, a presidential candidate, and most importantly a medical doctor, to say that, make that kind of prognosis with no fact is pretty pathetic and unreal.
People actually, as I mentioned before, laughed when that moment happened that we just played a few minutes ago last night, when he said that his temperament is more suited for presidential office. Is that a winning argument for Donald Trump, do you think, to say that he has the temperament?
Well, I think it's fair for both candidates to go out and talk about the qualities that they think they possess, why they would be a better commander-in-chief and a better president, and how to contrast that with their opponent. So, of course, it's fair game. I mean, she went out there and talked about how he was unfit and unready. So we all have a right, or they both have a right, to go out and describe how they believe their attributes and qualities and experience suits them best for the office, and draw that contrast with their opponent. And I think in the case of Hillary Clinton in particular, one thing that didn't come up, obviously, with the exception of an offhanded comment, was there were no questions about her emails, there were no questions about the Clinton Foundation, which really go to her judgment and her role as a pay-per-play kind of politician, and someone who didn't take national security seriously. So, I mean, when it comes to temperament and judgment, of course he's on pretty high ground there.
Sean, another big topic last night, Trump's tax returns. Clinton gave a list of reasons why she thinks that Trump is not releasing those returns. I want to play one portion of the exchange that got some reaction from Trump. Take a listen.
Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes, because the only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So
that makes me smart.
So you had to listen there, but he says that makes me smart. So he's essentially saying, yes, my taxes were low, and that makes me smart because I know how to game the system and pay low taxes. How do you think the average American voter, though, sees that when they're having to pay, 15 to 25% of their salary out to the IRS?
Well, I think most American voters are sitting back saying, how do I pay lower taxes, too? I know I do. I sit around and haggle with my accountant every year trying to figure out what additional deductions. But, I mean, we all pay taxes in the form of sales tax and other taxes.
So
you
think they admire Trump for that?
But I think most people would sit back and say, I want to find out who his accountant is, because I want to pay lower taxes. It's not like no one's getting away with not paying any taxes. We pay a whole host of them. Believe me, we all know how many times we get taxed in this country. So I think that he talks about the type of ability he has as a businessman, as a successful individual, to work within the system, and how, as someone who has benefited from it, he can go in, he understands the system and make it better. But I think the broader point that I thought was interesting there is that she's talking about his taxes. He has them. He's going through an audit. He's following the rules. When it comes to how she handled a similar situation with her emails, what did she do? She tried to delete them, hide them, cover them up. I mean, when you actually go through, he's using the law to his benefit. She evaded the law. I mean, she sort of signed a statement saying, I'm going to abide by certain government regulations. She set up a private server. Then when she got caught, she deleted the emails. I mean, you actually look at the two systems. You may not like Donald Trump's, answer to the question, but he's obeying the law. He's following the rules and regulations that set forth by this government.
It's not a law that he can't release his taxes if he's under audit.
No.
But he's said he can.
I understand that. But in terms of how he's handling the situation, is fully compliant with the law. He's following the advice of his lawyers and his accountants. You look at what she did in a similar situation. She ended up going around the law, going around the regulations, setting up a private server, saying these are rules that I'm going to live by myself. And then when she got caught, she attempted to delete them. 5 of her aides took the Fifth Amendment, or excuse me, got
immunity. The Justice Department has also
I mean,
found that she didn't break the law either. That
no, that's not what they, no, untrue, Kate, I'm sorry. They didn't find that. The FBI said that they couldn't find a similar case to recommend it. Right, there's a big difference from there between, she was not actually, that case did not move forward, but that's not because they found that, it's because the FBI recommended it.
You're right to make that point. They didn't find evidence to prosecute. Let me ask you about another subject while you're here. Miss Universe. Yeah. We were just talking about this a few minutes ago. It's obviously being brought up by the Clinton campaign. Hillary Clinton brought it up on the debate stage last night. This is a former contestant winner of the Miss Universe pageant, Alicia Machado, who they've now just within the last couple of hours held a press phone call with this woman to talk with the press. And I want to play a little bit of sound of her talking about the end of her relationship with Donald Trump.
I never saw him anymore, and I don't want to see him anymore neither. You know, and that is for me, these elections are like a bad dream. You know what I mean? Because I never thought and I never imagined then 20 years later.
Sorry about that. I think we got cut off. But Sean, her story is that he called her names, that he insulted her because she gained some weight. He then went on Fox this morning and explained it as, well, she did gain a whole bunch of weight. Is this really one that you want to be talking about right now as he's trying to appeal to female voters?
No, it's not something we want to talk about. I mean, I think Donald Trump's made it clear he wants to talk about jobs, the economy, national security, immigration. We're not talking about it. They are. They're digging up a 30, I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but maybe I think it's 25, 30-year-old instance and bringing it back into the limelight. I don't know that Hillary Clinton wants to talk about some of the things in her past. I think to go back 30 years shows how desperate they are. Frankly, thank you, I'm sorry, so 20 years. But I don't know why we're going back 20 years. The problems that Americans face right now is they're trying to figure out how they're going to get a job, how their wages going to... No, hold on. You're asking me if we wanted to talk about it.
But they're bringing it up as a character issue. They're bringing it up in the context of other comments that he's made about women. Sure. You know, they've been running ads. They're running a new ad this morning. And I guess I wonder, as the head of the RNC, are you concerned that as the communications director for the RNC, are you concerned that drives female voters away, that makes them, you know, those who are on the fence say maybe not?
Well, look, from a purely political standpoint, you have someone in Secretary Clinton who on paper should be an all-star candidate. She served 2 terms in the United States Senate. She was Secretary of State. This sort of long, flowing resume of political accomplishments, and yet they're going back 20 years to make a tax. Donald Trump's talking every day, getting out there on the stump, talking about solutions and policy issues, how to move America forward. So we're not talking about it. We're trying to talk about how to move America forward. Right. It's the Team Clinton that's actually dredging up 22 decades old.
Why doesn't he just apologize? Comments. Why doesn't he just apologize rather than say, well, it's because she gained a whole bunch of weight?
Look, because again, I don't think he's here he's trying to figure out how we can talk about America's future and how we can talk about the problems. He's not trying to relitigate comments from 20-something years ago. Because again, to your question, does he want to be talking about this? No, he wants to talk about the future and what's going on in America and the problem in Washington. That's what he wants to be talking about, is Team Clinton. And so the thing that I sort of do find ironic is that for all of the talk about what gets brought up, you have Governor Dean, as you mentioned at the beginning, making ridiculous false medical claims. You've got the Clinton campaign dredging up comments from 20-something years ago. It's Team Clinton that's dredging up the past, going negative. You mentioned the ads. All of their ads are negative. They're hitting Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump's ads that are up on TV talking about the future and the movement that he has and the way to make America great again. I mean, the irony of what the reality is versus what the media wants to talk about is unbelievable in terms of the disconnect. So I do find it interesting because what Donald Trump's talking about, what this campaign's talking about, what Governor Pence is talking about is making America great, moving forward, solutions to the problems that our country faces. And what Team Clinton is talking about is digging up decades-old comments and trying to create further controversies instead of talking about the record of their candidate and her accomplishments. And you've got to wonder whether that's because there's a lack of them.
Sean Spicer with the RNC. Sean, thanks so much for being here.